You read that title correctly. I think everybody should get beat up at least once. Now, the reason I say that is not because I have some fantasy where I want everybody to suffer or anything like that. It's really because getting beat up teaches you one important lesson: humility. See, a lot of guys, for some reason, and some girls in some cases, have this thing where we just think we're the biggest and baddest person. We're so tough, we could beat anybody up. If we ever get into an altercation, we're going to see red, and then the other person is going to tremble at our power. And see, that might happen if you're also fighting someone who cannot fight. But the thing about it is that there is always a bigger fish in the water. Some of you who are watching this video and haven't seen some of my previous other videos might not know that I did boxing, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu. Yeah, I did all the combat sports. And don't think I'm telling you that to tell you that I was some sort of prodigy. I was the best person to ever grace the mat, because I wasn't. To first start off with my boxing career, I was 0-1. Yes, it's a little embarrassing to say, but I quit after my first loss. Wrestling, I eventually ended up being pretty good, but when I first started off in my season when I was 11 years old, I lost nearly every match. I think I literally won 2 matches the entire season. And in my sophomore year during high school, I went 0 for 12. Jiu-jitsu though, I've always been pretty good. I don't really know why. I guess that's just an outlier for some reason. But doing all of these sports really taught me that lesson of humility. It taught me that no matter how big and bad you think you are, there is always a bigger fish in the water. It's very common for people who have never trained to say stuff like this:
give me 20 million right now. Anybody give me 20 million right now, I'm jumping in the ring with Javante. Tank gotta knock me out. 20 mil, fight on Netflix with Boosie. Yeah, we gonna break the numbers. I'm gonna throw more than Tyson throw, I bet you that.
I'm not getting on Boosie here because I've heard a lot of my friends say the same thing. I actually made a video kind of like this a while ago, but I'm doing it again because I feel like I'm better at making videos now. But the things I said in there are still true. I've literally heard some of my friends legitimately think, and I have to emphasize this, they actually think that they could beat up Gervonta Davis or Devin Haney or Ryan Garcia. Now keep in mind, if you're not familiar with boxing, these are the world champions, the best of the best, the elite of the elite. And what do my friends have? A fight they have in middle school that they lost. And for some reason, they really think they can beat these people up. These people do this for a job. And honestly, I don't think you really understand how wide the gap is until you actually do a combat sport. From my time in various combat sports, I've stood across people who are menacing looking, who look like they're the second coming of Brock Lesnar, and some people who look like Santiago. And the craziest part about it, the biggest thing that those sports teach you is that you cannot underestimate anybody. There are some people who look a certain type of way and actually will be about literally nothing. And there are some people who literally look like Peter Parker and will surprise you and become Spider-Man. And trust me, it is a humbling experience to get beat up by Peter Parker. I also want to clarify, when I say you need to get beat up, I'm not talking about a close fight. I'm not talking about split decision. It could have really went to either one of y'all. I mean getting beat up to the point where you literally had absolutely no chance. Like you get out of that fight, wrestling match, whatever, and you say, there was literally nothing I could do. As somebody who has been in those sports for a really long time, I can tell you that I have felt those feelings plenty of times. And I think to a certain extent, you think when you work out, you think you're in shape, you think that it's nobody who could just mess over you completely, but you would be wrong. And it really shows you also that there's levels to this. There is levels to fighting. These people who I was fighting and wrestling against were just people in other schools or other territories around my area. Now imagine the crazy skill gap of somebody who is the world champion. It's not even close, not even kinda close. I do want to point out, because I already know it's going to be somebody in the comments like, I never trained a day in my life and I beat up some guy who do jiu-jitsu every day. Look, anytime somebody squares against somebody, there is always a chance that the underdog will come on top. It's actually my favorite part of combat sports. To name a few of my favorite upsets, we have when Gable Steveson just lost in the national championships. Spencer Lee also getting pinned in the national championships. When George St. Pierre lost to that guy who won Tough Enough. No, not Tough Enough. That's WWE. WWE, The Ultimate Fighter, and obviously when Mike Tyson got knocked out by Buster Douglas. Those are just a few examples of upsets, but honestly, the examples are endless. People get upset all the time. But the difference in these situations is that the people that they were going against were at least at a similar level. I really don't know why every dude thinks they can fight. I guess it's because everybody can throw a punch. I've always compared fighting to singing. Everybody theoretically can fight, but everybody can't do it well. And even with that, some people can do it relatively good, and some people are one-hitter quitters. Biggest reason I feel like everybody should experience this is not because of the humility it only teaches you within fighting. I feel like my time in wrestling, going through those bad times where I was just getting beat up all the time, really taught me humility in everything. In the sense of school, in the sense of learning things. It taught me that no matter how much I think I know about a topic, no matter how good I think I am about something, there's always somebody who's going to be better than me, and there's always somebody I could learn from. It taught me really never to think that I'm so ascended to the point where I cannot get advice from anybody, which honestly would take you a long way in life. I've seen different people in school who don't want to take advice from people, or they don't want to listen to somebody who they view as below them, which I also want to point out is somebody that you can learn from. Just because somebody is at a lower level than you does not mean they might know something about something that you don't. To keep it in the realm of fighting, I've done that with wrestling and jiu-jitsu. In jiu-jitsu, of course, I played takedowns and top because I had a wrestling background. But at a certain point, I said I need to learn guard and learn how to do certain submissions, which is something I'm not experienced in. And I'm a purple belt, by the way, but I was able to get advice from some blue belts and even some white belts who were better at that than me. Just because somebody's a lower rank than you does not mean they can teach you nothing. And to draw a parallel to life, even if somebody is younger than you, they might have been on the job less time than you, something like that, does not mean that they have not figured things out that you haven't yet. Even with me as a freshman and sophomore, when I was wrestling, I was able to beat people who were juniors and seniors. Just because somebody's older and has more experience doesn't always mean that they're automatically better and have nothing to learn. Now, obviously, the only way for you to learn that lesson is not by getting beat up. Some people are just humble by nature, but a lot of people are not. And some people are humble in certain areas, but not humble in that one. In the sense of knowing that there is always a bigger fish in the water. Especially the dudes who are literally victim weight. If you're victim weight saying that you would knock out Jake Paul or something like that, yeah, okay, buddy. I understand he's not like the conventional boxer, but he does actually train, bro. And he's over 200 pounds. So do you really think that's a good idea? Anyway, the main message that I wanted to convey in this video was just to be humble. You can learn from anybody, and anybody can pass you at any time, so always work hard and keep on the grind to get what you want to get to. If you like the video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Every little bit helps, and every little bit is much appreciated. Look, one thing before you go.
Bye.